Hello, everybody. It's me again, Chris Turner, for Breaking Down the Borders-5, bringing you, as always, some of our speakers, all of our speakers eventually, I hope. And today it's a big pleasure for me to introduce you, if you don't know her already, to Maria Mateus. Maria, I have seen your name around. I have read a lot about you because we're both associated with the IAA at different times. Well, you at more different times. I've been there for more than 20 years now, which I absolutely have no idea where they've gone. But this is the first time we've met, so this is a real pleasure because I know nothing about you except what I read in your bio. So I'm really interested to know all about you. You told me earlier you live in Texas. Where in Texas are you?
I'm in Austin, Texas, in the center.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Yes.
I've been to Texas quite a bit, but I have not. Actually, yes, I did go to Austin. I think the very first time I went to the US in the late 90s, I think we passed through there on the way to somewhere. No, it wasn't. It was Fort Worth.
Fort Worth.
It was
Yeah.
Fort Worth we went to, and that's not far from Austin, I believe.
No, it's about 3 hours.
That's not far.
No, it's not at all.
Hey,
The people
this is
on the
Australia.
East Coast are saying, what do you mean 3 hours is not far? Over here, it's just around the corner.
Here too, you go for 3 hours for coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You know, all my relatives live around, 2-3 hours away from Sydney, and it's how about we get together for lunch on the weekend, and yep, okay, no problem.
That's the whole day.
To non-Aussies, I think the only other people that really get that are Canadians and people from the central, what do you call them, the mountain states and Texas in the US. I don't think, on the East Coast they don't get it.
Yeah. I've lived on the East Coast, so I know both sides of that.
Yeah, but in fact I was talking to Ina Stanley the other day, and we were talking about how we're people who measure distance in time. We don't measure it in miles or kilometers.
Right.
You always say, oh it's about 2.5 hours from here.
Yeah, exactly.
So are you born and bred Texan?
No, I'm not actually. I was born in Portugal, in Lisbon.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah. Far from home, far from my original home. Yeah.
You must have been very young.
What's that?
You must have been very young when you moved to the States.
Yes, I was young. I came here when I was about 5, I guess, 4 or 5. Yeah. And I did go back for high school around my teen years. And I stayed a few years, finished high school, and then came back here via England for a year.
Oh, so you're well traveled.
A little bit, yeah. I'm quite traveled.
Yeah, no, I haven't been there, but they tell me Portugal is a beautiful place. Absolutely beautiful place.
It is. And I'm actually going there this month on the 21st.
Oh, you're actually getting there?
Yes, I hope to be able to get there. We'll see how it goes, but I am braving travel these days. I need to go see family. I have a house there. I need to take care of some things, and hopefully they're still allowing citizens in.
Oh, good luck. So they've stopped it here. We can't get out. We can't get back in again. We can if it's, absolutely essential, but then there's all sorts of quarantine laws and things. But basically, unless you have a very good reason for leaving the country, they won't let you go.
Oh, no.
We're in.
Yeah, you're in to stay. Yeah, and they're not making it difficult. They're not making it easy to get into Portugal, from what I've heard. So non-essential travel is quite difficult, but hopefully I have all my ducks in a row and I'll be able to get in.
Well, good luck and enjoy it. Enjoy it for those of us who are not allowed to travel at the moment, and that we can't even see it in the near future. They're talking about at least another year and a half before we can have it.
No. Is that what they're saying in Australia?
Yeah, they're very, very strong on lockdowns here. The whole state of Victoria has been completely locked down because they're having a second spike.
Oh, they are.
And here in Sydney, which is to the north, with the north of Melbourne is south of us, and we're just that bit north. And there is all sorts of, like, everybody's on tenterhooks waiting for our next lockdown in case it gets out of control. It's come on up from Victoria, but so far it's little clusters that they've been able to control. But everybody is now, you know, we're being told, not mandated, but told, please wear a mask when you go out. Please don't go out unless you have to.
Right.
None of it's absolute law yet, but they're preparing us, obviously, just in case.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, oh, look, it makes no difference to me. I'm a natural born hermit anyway, but
I know that's what a lot of astrologers have been saying. We're always working in the house anyway, so it's not a huge change for us. But
although I also think, and I haven't spoken about this with too many astrologers yet, but I found for myself, I think astrologers are naturally in tune with energies. Do you know what I mean? We pick up on the vibes. And I've certainly found myself, when we had our first breakout, I went through a couple of weeks of real anxiety until I sat down one day and said, why the hell are you anxious? You know, what's different? And I got out of that one. But just in the last couple of days, I've also found that, you know, you're getting that feeling, that collective anxiety, depression, and angst. And I'm finding I'm really fighting it. You know, I really am fighting it to not let it get me down. So tell me, that would be very interesting. So as a child, what were your ambitions? What did you think you wanted to be when you grew up?
Never thought of becoming an astrologer for sure. I wanted to be a journalist, actually, or a writer, some form of writing. I did aspire to be a journalist. I wanted to be an investigative journalist, which I guess is not too far from what I'm doing now. I'm investigating astrology, so there's a little bit of investigation in there. But
so there's a natural sort of research bent.
Definitely. That is my thing, research. I'm very curious, and I don't like unanswered questions. I have a hard time with unanswered.
Why?
I have an easy time asking them, but I have a hard time not answering them for myself.
No, I understand completely. It's, you know, why?
The why? Yeah, the why is the thing.
and I think a good research ability is an absolute talent. I think it's like teaching. I think that it's something that you can learn, but you have to have an innate talent for it. If you've got that innate talent for it, oh, I envy that. I really do.
Yeah, natural curiosity.
I think it's more than that. It's more than that. It's got a strong Virgo component to it as well. You know, I mean, I've got a lot of Gemini, so I've got the curiosity.
Yeah.
And then after an hour, I think, I haven't got the time for this. And I walk off.
Well, I have both of those. I have Sun in Gemini and Moon in Virgo. So I've got the whole Mercury field covered.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, my Gemini twins are the same. They've got the Gemini Sun and the Virgo Moon, and a good dollop of 12th house. So, you know, I've got big hopes for them. So did you pursue that? Like, you finished high school, go to college to pursue that journalism? Or?
I did start out studying journalism. And then I moved and got married, and then I went into psychology. That natural curiosity in different areas got the better of me, and then I finished in psychology. So I got a double degree in English and psychology with a concentration in journalism. But then right around the same time, I started getting very curious about astrology, and then.
Okay, now tell me, how did you first find astrology, or how did astrology first find you?
Well, it was a combination of things. It was a family background in what I call the woo-woo sciences.
Well, my mother called the mumbo jumbo. Yeah.
My mother's side of the family has mediums, and we were very exposed to that whole world of seances and doing channeling and kind of that sort of thing. My father was very scientific. He was an electronics engineer, and so so I had the curiosity about the unseen world. I had that through my mom's side, and we had a lot of books that talked about different things, different areas of metaphysics, which I loved, and I read a lot, devoured those books. And there wasn't a whole lot about astrology. There were just a little bit, you know, sun sign books and a little bit of that we were exposed to. But it was around the time that I went to England that I actually got very, very interested in learning more. So I really delved deep into astrology at that time. And then I never really took it seriously as a profession. I just sort of did it for my friends and family, and like most people. But I guess it was a combination of finishing my psychology degree and then finding a lot of overlap between psychology and astrology, getting really into the Jungian stuff, of course, like a lot of us, and then then software came along and made everything so easy. And I remember my first software program when I could calculate charts, you know, in the blink of an eye was great. And that really opened the doors. And I just went all in. I just kept going.
That was so exciting, wasn't it? It was just so exciting.
Yes.
You know, instead of, spending all that time carefully calculating and drawing or whatever, all of a sudden it was there.
Oh my gosh.
Until I discovered the errors in the software programs, and that sort of burst the bubble a little bit. But yeah, but I still remember the first time I saw it come out off a printer, and it was just so exciting.
Yeah, it opened up a whole door of possibilities, you know, a whole world of possibilities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I actually started taking it seriously then, and I was in Austin and I had finished my degree. I still wasn't quite sure, but and then I thought, well, I have to get another degree. I have to get a degree in astrology now. So I did that. I went looking for a school of astrology and got a master's in astrology from Kepler College. So
well done.
That was the start of it. Yeah.
Yes, there are not too many people, as you say in your bio. There are not very many who have a master's in astrology.
Yeah, it's and this was back when it was still authorized by the state of Washington, and they then revoked the authorization. But that little window, I happened to be at the right place at the right time.
Right time, yeah, makes a difference. Unfortunately, there are not enough people who even have what you could loosely call a bachelor's or some kind of formalized certification, which is something I've been battling about for the last 30 years. But
yeah, and I hate, we all take it seriously.
No, we hate certification, and understandably, because it does not tell anyone whether you're a good astrologer or not, but it certainly does tell somebody that you've got the knowledge. At least you've had the training. Right. And the rest, I'm afraid, is trial and error. It's like with anything, how many of us been to a doctor or someone like that who was sat in there for 5 or 10 minutes and thought, this guy's not for me, and may have all the knowledge in the world, but that you just don't click.
Right. And it doesn't replace, you need the experience. The degree doesn't replace the experience, but it's good having both, having the knowledge and having.
Well, otherwise you don't know. And unfortunately, there are a lot of very good con men around who can convince you they have the knowledge, and they actually don't. They actually don't have the knowledge at all. So, so did you start practicing? Oh, wait a minute, I'm trying to word this properly. Did you start practicing deliberately, or did you fall into it, or did you you know, I mean, some people, as you say, you do it for your family and friends and things like that. And then for me, for example, I was only doing it for basically family and friends. And then someone insisted on paying me. And suddenly I was a professional astrologer. Whereas
Yeah,
others have gone in deliberately and said, right, now I set
yeah.
up practice.
I think my process was more deliberate, only because I'm really terrible at charging for services. I still am.
Yeah.
I was finding every excuse not to charge anyone. I came from a background where that sort of thing wasn't done. You weren't supposed to charge for metaphysical nor spiritual knowledge, and I felt really guilty about it for a long time. But then after I got my degree, or during actually at the time that I was getting my degree, I thought, well, this is ridiculous. I mean, I'm spending a lot of hours doing this work. If I'm going to make a living at it, I need to start charging. So it was more deliberate.
Yeah, that's a really hard one. I mean, I was brought up on the same thing, you know, that, oh, no, you shouldn't charge. And then I thought, yeah, but how do you explain that to the telephone company when they want to charge you, you know, give you a telephone bill? They don't take that as an excuse.
No, they don't.
And it's hard, I think, for I'm not so sure it is today. It's a whole different society today, of course. But certainly back then, I think that was a dilemma for many. That how do you balance that altruism? That's the word that I'm looking for, because that's going out the window a lot these days. I find that altruism, not only with astrologers but with politicians and everybody else as well. It's going to be soon. They'll be saying, "Oh, that's an old-fashioned word we used to use back in the 20th century."
Yeah, right.
So where does your main focus of interest lie, Maria? Are you? I read in your bio you like the classical stuff.
I do. I like the classical stuff. I like the Mesopotamian. So I like going back to the origins of things. So I went back into the Mesopotamian, and I did my thesis at Kepler on Mesopotamian astrology. So I really like that era and how it relates to the evolution of astrology. And I found a lot of very helpful, even just for practical astrology, not just the history, but practical insights that really helped my work. Even recently, even with this technique that I'm going to be talking about in the lecture. So I like that. I also like linguistics a lot. I'm very much interested in how language is communicated through the chart, and how it reflects the world we live in. How does astrology on an outer world level translate linguistically through the chart? I think that's fascinating. So I do teach and have developed a lot of my work based on a grammatical or a linguistic approach to the chart. So that makes it more consistent and more reliable in what we say.
Yeah, so I did read that you sort of developed what would you call it, an alphabet, some kind of a...
It's not so much an alphabet, it's more like a grammatical system based on philosophy, actually. It's based on Aristotelian philosophy. So it is an approach that takes a lot of the ideas of Aristotle that have to do with form and matter, and sees the chart in terms of form and matter as the first duality. And so a lot of what I am looking at in the chart is translating the functions of the symbols into some understanding of form and matter, and then taking it up linguistically, how that translates into language. Because when we talk, we do, and this is in Aristotle as well, because a lot of his philosophy is based on the semantics of language, the logic of language, really. And so when you read it, you get an understanding of how language conveys the idea of form and matter in the way we structure language. So it's more about the the grammar of it, how things are put together, how the symbols come together to form sentences and to form ideas.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I've always taught my students that what you are doing is translating.
It
You
is.
know, you're given this chart which has a language in it, and you are translating that language back into English in this
Exactly.
case.
And that's what I say I do.
You've taken that further.
Yeah, that's what I say I do, is I'm translating from astrology to English. And so what are the rules of that translation? And it's very clear when you're translating versus when you're interpreting. And that's the art of it. The art of it is in the interpretation. And having translated some books from Portuguese to English, it's a very stark difference, the translation versus the interpretation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we have a classic example of that just in the Bible. I mean, there is a straight example of that. You know, the difference between, and also in all the astrological translations, the ancient Greek ones. You know, that the arguments that go on over. And I mean, to these days, I mean, in Judaism, they still argue in the Torah about whether this sentence means this or that, and they've been doing that for thousands of years. So, it's a whole different ball game. Now, let's have a look at your lecture for what you'll be doing, which is entitled "Outlining Your Life Story in Your Chart," which, of course, in itself is intriguing. It sort of, to me, sounds almost basic, but I'm guessing it's not as basic as it looks. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I hope it will become basic. So how this developed was that I was pretty frustrated at all the different timing techniques that exist and not knowing when to use one versus another. You know, we have all these tools at our disposal, and we're kind of awash in information and data, and sometimes we don't know which way to turn to find what we need. And so it's a practical matter too. My Virgo moon wants things to be efficient and practical. And so we spend so many hours looking for things in timing that our clients want to know about sometimes. And I get asked very specific questions, and I wanted a more streamlined way of understanding. I thought to myself, there should be a way to time a chart where I don't have to run 20 different charts. I can just look at the natal chart and see an outline of the life. It should be there, right? It should be there. So that's how it started, looking for that kind of holy grail in timing. And I went back to something that I had that was in my thesis back to the Mesopotamian astrology. I did a talk on Gilgamesh, the story of Gilgamesh as a metaphor for the hero as a solar hero, and how he's basically traversing the zodiac signs. And there have been others who've written about this, but I did it in terms of houses. So I was interested in that, and I started that gave me the idea of, it gave me the idea of a timing technique that could actually span the human lifespan and whether it could be seen in the chart. And so I started testing this, and it's almost stumbled upon it actually. A technique that does look at this and that was working really, really reliably into the framework of a human lifespan, that you could actually see this within the natal chart itself. So I'll be talking about that as a framework for a much simpler way of timing charts, where we don't have to run a bunch of different timing techniques, and we can see the skeleton of a life in 12 segments, basically.
Oh, so that not only sounds intriguing but necessary.
I think it is. It would be helpful.
Well, you said before, we were talking earlier about how exciting it was when the new software came in. We could draw everything up, but of course what followed that very quickly was that, as you say, we were inundated with data. And again, you know, one of the things I always had to say to my students, it's almost as crucial, if not more so, to learn what data to just ignore. Because students tend to, oh, this is here, this is there, and they have so much and they want to put it all together, and they have to become discriminating and toss out even more than they actually use. And it sounds like that's the sort of thing that you have now come to in this technique.
I hope so. I hope so. I'm still testing a lot of it. I'm using it, which is a form of testing it in my client work. But I'm also trying to write about it on my website and telling people about it so they could test it and see how it works. And hopefully it'll stand up. It's been working pretty well. It's been even working on national charts, on the nation charts, which surprised me immensely.
Yeah, that's very exciting, particularly today. I mean, particularly, you know, at this particular time. And I'm going to go and have a look and maybe test it out for myself. So you're speaking on Saturday, the 7th of November. And now I have to peer here because Ed put all these little times and things in blue, which I can't see. So I have to peer at the computer. There it is, at 7 p.m. Eastern time, which is a great time. Saturday night, 7 p.m. Settle in with the popcorn and the you know, and the earphones. Yeah, it sounds perfect. And so yeah, I mean, that's basically. So I do hope that you will, after your lecture, you know, we have a foyer. You have spoken for us before, so you know that how we do work, and we do have our foyer where the speakers can go and the registrants can go, and I always got that idea because whenever I've been at a UAC or any other type of conference, it's when you come out of a lecture and everybody gathers in front of all the lecture rooms and, oh, what was that like? How was that? You know, so that's how we got our foyer. And we are really encouraging our speakers to go in there and get to know the people who have come to hear them, because of course this is a worldwide audience now. It's not just, you know, not just the locals anymore. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you'd like to add to all that, Maria?
No, I'm just looking forward to speaking. I haven't been at a conference in a long time. We've all kind of been locked in. But I guess this is the wave of the future now. And we've been doing, IA has been doing this for a long time now, but we were on the forefront. But I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, IAA has been teaching like this now for more than 20 years, you know, before we could do it face to face like this.
Yeah, but even the conferences,
But the conference, our first conference was back in 2010. So we were the first, and everybody said it's work. And I remember that. I remember how I had to call upon just about every friendship I had and said, you know, you've got to come and speak for us. Oh, no, I couldn't do that. No. And, you know, I dragged so many people kicking and screaming into that conference, and now they do it all the time. They're all blasé about it. So, so no, it's and I think we still have a lot of fun. I still think we are still the closest thing to a physical conference. We never intended to be like a physical conference, but going right back to the beginning where we're saying how we discuss distance in time, there are so many people, particularly here in Australia, who just could never get to a good conference, you know, through pure distance. And
and I remember when they started, it was right after the economic crash, and there were a lot of difficulties just in spending all that money traveling and in hotels.
I mean, even someone here, and I'm sure it's the same there, if you live in rural New South Wales here, just to come to Sydney for a conference was almost impossible, let alone going to the US or to the UK. I mean, that was just it wasn't even, you couldn't even think about it. So
Yeah.
anyway, Maria, thank you so much. I won't keep you any longer. I really do appreciate the time you've given us today. And
it's my pleasure.
I'm going to go and have a look at that website and have a look at that technique. It sounds really
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah.